I had thought of reading 5 books which were Bridge of Clay. But I really... Stop creaking. Those were the times. This book is a collection of 16. Like, I fell in love with Castus Portalis, a beloved mythology. It doesn't feel right. That it does. My 8th read of January. Dharmendra, Not Just a He-Man, a biography by biographer. Hey guys, this is Sonali, the Melodramatic Bookworm. Welcome back to my channel. Today I am here with my wrap-up for February. And even though I thought that February was not such a great reading month because I wasn't able to, fulfill all my reading goals for that month, it wasn't that bad either, because I was hoping to be able to read about 13 to 14 books, but I was able to read 11. But the problem was that I wasn't able to polish off the TBR that I had set for myself in February. I had thought of reading 5 books, which were Bridge of Clay, The Forest of Enchantments, The Boy in the Striped Pyjamas, Kafka on the Shore, and Sapiens, A Brief History of Humankind, and I was able to get through only 3 of those. And one was such a huge disappointment, as I'll be talking about in this video. But then again, 11 is not a bad number. At least that's what I'm telling myself. There have been months where I have read less than 6 or 7 books. And those were the times when I actually thought that how amazing would it be if I could read at least 10. So now I've crossed that limit and now we are at 11 and there's that. So without further ado, let's get into this video and let me share with you my thoughts about all the books that I read in February. My first read of February was a review copy that I got from the newspaper that I work with, and the book in question is Hindi Short Stories, which was selected and translated by Girdhar Rathi. This book is a collection of 16 translated stories by eminent Hindi authors. These stories talk about the unusual events that have the possibility of happening in day-to-day life. And though the message that is held in each of these stories is good enough, the translation isn't that great. It feels like the actual message, the actual bigger message, is lost in translation, and that's a shame, because some of these, and in many places in these stories, we actually feel that pull of nostalgia, of familiarity that we feel when going back to our childhood. I gave Hindi Short Stories by Girdhar Rathi 3 out of 5 stars. My second read of February was a heartbreaking book called The Boy in the Striped Pyjamas by John Boyne. All I'll say about this book is that it's set in World War II and is as heartbreaking as can get. See, the actual body of the story, I found it to be okay. But when it builds up to that climax, I could feel my heart break. I cried. And though this doesn't have that book thief kind of feels, this is a children's book. And it's very adorable the way Bruno says outwits and fury. But the setting and the realizations that you have throughout this book are beyond par, and it is because of these very feelings that I felt for this particular book that I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. My third read for February was a book that I didn't expect to love that much, and the book in question is Victoria Hislop's The Sunrise. This is the story of how invasion turns the tides in the coastal city of Famagusta and how 40,000 people had to flee their homes. The writing, Victoria Hislop's writing, is so beautiful. Like, it also looks at things from an individual's perspective, but it also gives you the larger picture, the bigger picture, and because of that you identify with it, as well as you get to understand the different perspectives of the people involved in this story. And it almost breaks your heart to see how a thriving coastal city, famous for its amazing hotels and its sparkling beaches, goes from wow to a site of immense destruction. I fell in love with Cartes Postalis from Greece, and because of just that one book, because of my being enamored with that one book, I bought 3 of her other books, of which this was one, and I was not disappointed. I gave The Sunrise 4 out of 5 stars. My fourth read of February was a book that I was really excited to read, is The Forest of Enchantments by Chitra Banerjee Devakaruni. This lady is one of my favorite authors ever, but somehow this didn't live up to it. This is a retelling of the Ramayana from Sita's perspective, and she takes into account all the perspectives of the women of the Ramayana, and she puts it out in an admirable manner, but somehow it didn't live up to how I saw Chitra Banerjee's writing. In quite a few places I found it to be really mediocre, the writing. I feel really bad for saying this, but I felt like I was reading a bad review copy, and it feels like blasphemy to me, but that was how it felt. But it also shows how unfair our myths are towards women, and how just because of log kya kahenge, women are just shunned in many places. Because Sita is such a beloved mythological character, and to read the Ramayana from her perspective is something that I was really looking forward to. And though for most parts I was really happy with how this book turned out, I was also disappointed the way the writing turned out. I mean, it's no Palace of Illusions for sure. I gave The Forest of Enchantments 3.75 out of 5 stars. My 5th book of February 2019 was bestseller by Ahmed Fayaz, and this is such a fun read. It's about how the publishing industry in India works. I loved reading this because of all the eccentricities that people in the publishing industry have, and because of the different types of people who actually come in contact with the editors, with the publishers. But this is a really fun read, a satire on the Indian publishing industry, and I loved it. I enjoyed it to no end. I laughed, and I also identified with a few of the points mentioned in here. And in the end, for me, this was a book that just glaringly mentioned all the flaws in the Indian publishing industry, but it also showed how, with the right kind of strength and fortitude, if you can call it, that's a pretty strong word, but with that you could get somewhere. I gave this book 4 out of 5 stars. My 6th read of February 2019 was Right Ho Jeeves by P.G. Wodehouse, and this is my only 5-star read of February, and I enjoyed reading it so much. Wodehouse kind of humor is something that grows on you. The entire essence of P.G. Wodehouse's books rests on how Bertram Wooster is so overconfident in his own abilities, and how Jeeves is so accommodating in his own way, but then again he does what he wants. Like Wooster is like, Jeeves, tum rehne do, let it be, I'll take care of everything, and Jeeves is like, yes sir, as you wish sir, and then he goes behind and he does whatever he wants, which is the right thing in the end, as you will read in this book. And I loved it. This is such a laugh fest, and the intention of the book in the end, it just amazed me how someone could write just 2 words and make the reader laugh. That is P.G. Wodehouse for you. My 7th read of February 2019 was Atonement by Ian McEwan, and this is one book that really messed with my mind because of how complex the characters are and how everything seemed exactly what it is, but it was also not what it was. And I'm still confused by what actually went on in there. And there are a few characters that I really hate and a few characters that I really love. To imagine James McAvoy as Robbie, it broke my heart even more, because like James is going through all that stuff, and when some actor is cast in your mind as one particular character, that's exactly what happens. And let me tell you this, the one character that I hate the most in this book is Bryony. I don't care if she was a child, because she did what she did, and no atonement is enough, because whatever she did resulted in the end, which is such a mixed bag. Like, you don't know what is true and what is not. You can see how affected I am by that. Even when we were buddy reading this book, I didn't have anything to say. Even now, if the other people start talking something, I'm just like, what? The book blew my mind. I don't have anything else to say. What should I talk about it when I just cannot formulate a single word? And I really did not expect this book to blow my mind this much, and because of that very fact that it blew my mind, I gave Atonement 4.25 out of 5 stars. My 8th read of February 2019 was another review copy called The Long Drive Home by Rishad Sam Mehta, and this is a book that gives you such heavy wanderlust feels, because this author, he drove an Audi Q7 from Munich to Mumbai, and just imagine, it was I think about 20,121 kilometers that he drove, and he had the full support, and over 54 days they saw so many things along the way that I just felt like, oh my god, I wish I was there. And this book has, it's full of anecdotes and funny stories, and you know, the problems that they could have faced. See, not every plan is foolproof. Something or the other is bound to go wrong, which is why you need to have a plan A and a plan B, and that is what these people did. It was an epic journey, and I really enjoyed reading this book, and especially since there are so many nice pictures in here from where they actually took the pictures with the car in focus. This is a good one. I gave The Long Drive Home 3.75 out of 5 stars. My 9th read of February 2019 was Jubilee by Shelley Harris. This was another book that I did not expect to like so much. This is a story of the history of one picture and what happens when the photographer of that particular picture becomes famous, and then years later he wants to recreate it with the people in the picture. This is a story of racism and favoritism, and I really didn't expect to like this book this much. Right? It makes you feel everything. Even though it is slow in the beginning, you don't know where it's going, but it makes you feel everything, and the whole point is you will fall in love with this book. Not in the, oh my god, this is such an amazing book kind of way, but in the way that, okay, the emotions in this book are understated, but they are also heavily underrated, and that is why you will love this book that much. And I picked this book on a pure whim at the Lock the Box sale, if I'm not mistaken, and I'm so glad I got this book. I gave Jubilee 4 out of 5 stars. The 10th book that I read in February 2019 was Dharmendra, Not Just a He-Man, a biography by Rajiv Vijayakar. Dharmendra is one of my favorite actors from the old lot. And just look at him. Like, I've had a crush on him forever, and I still have a crush on him. Whenever I look at his old movies, I'm like, oh my god, I simply swoon. His acting skills are top notch, and if you watch Chupke Chupke, which is one of my favorite movies of all time, he's phenomenal in that, and his comic timing is so amazing, and to stay down to earth even when you have all the stardom, it's amazing. But this author didn't manage to capture all of that in this book. Yeah, he's put it down as a filmography of all of Dharmendra's films, and he's just flinging dates and names at me half the time. Other than that, there's no essence, there's no novelty in this book. There was nothing that Google wouldn't tell me, and that's not something I'm looking in a book, and especially of an actor so huge. I wanted more. The 11th and last book that I read in February, and the biggest disappointment so far this year, and I think for a long time to come, is Bridge of Clay by Marcus Zusak. And I loved The Book Thief so much, and I fell in love with Marcus Zusak's writing, and I expected so much from this book because I had heard quite a few people say that this one is also a book that will blow your mind, but that's not how it all worked out in the end. Like, the writing is circuitous, there's no connection whatsoever. It feels like it's unnecessarily detailed. Like, it didn't need to be like 80 pages long to make a point. If the writing from The Book Thief was implemented in this one, then it would have been a cracker of a book. But it simply becomes so annoying at one point. I wanted to DNF it, but since it was Marcus Zusak, I did not DNF it. I can't get The Book Thief out of my mind, and this one I want to get it out of my mind. I found it that bad. But in some places there was Zusak's brilliance that shone through, and I want to give it 3 stars out of 5, and I gave it 3 stars out of 5. But in hindsight, this does not feel like a 3 kind of book also. So I think I'm going to bring down my rating to 2.5, and that is so heartbreaking for me. So those were the 11 books that I read in February. Which ones of these have you read? Which ones do you plan to read? What books did you read in February? Which ones do you want to read in March? Let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. If you'd like to buy any of these books after watching my video, then please do so by using the Amazon affiliate links in the description box below. The price remains the same for you, but I get a small commission off of every purchase that you make, so help me out. If you like this video, please like it and share it to spread the word. And if you like my content and would like to see more from me, don't forget to hit subscribe and click on the bell icon beside the subscribe button to get notified as and when I post new videos. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Until next time, keep reading, keep watching, and add melodrama to your life.